photo had a more emotional dynamic range. I think it would have made this photo more interesting. Also, this original is a little bit more overexposed than your other ones. You're probably kind of trying hard to find an image that wasn't. So I found that with your editing, something that's happening, I think, is you're going a little too bright, and you're making changes to the images as a whole that's affecting certain parts of the image okay, beautifully, but other parts of the image negatively. For instance, if you look at the straight out of camera here and his feet, you only see a little bit of that green on his feet, and the grass looks like a very natural, nice green color. But when you go to the edit, all of a sudden the grass has become sort of a neon green, and you see the green cast on his feet brought out. I'm curious about your process for processing color images. I'm going to take you through and show you what my process is with this image really quick. It's very simple because I think that you're pushing your color just a little too far, and it's looking a little too over processed for my taste in this image. Like, the colors are just a little too electric for my liking. Now you might like that, and if you do, that's totally fine. Just ignore me. But you know, just in case, I'm going to take you through what I would do. So the JPEG. Okay, normally I would duplicate the layer and I might bump the curves a little bit, but they're already so bright that I'm going to skip that. Now these guys, they look like they have a little bit of a green cast going on. Their skin coloring's kind of interesting. Sorry, need to flatten the layer before I mess with the white balance. They're looking a little cool to me. So I'd yellow them up and magenta them up just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to do just an S curve. Whoops. Sorry, that was one of my actions. Okay, I duplicated the layer, and I'm going to do that tiny S curve. I think I showed this last week. I'm not sure if it was to you or one of our other fine ladies, but bring up the brights just a tiny bit and the darks down just a tiny bit. Then I would look at my image and see what that's affected. Her skirt got too bright there, so I'd come over here, use my eraser tool, and I would erase back that bright spot on her skirt. And flatten that out. Now, it kind of feels like you want a little bit more punch to these guys, and I think that's what you did to add a little bit more punch, but instead of increasing contrast and brightness, I would just bring up the levels and pull them in just a little bit to deepen the blacks. Then I would take my burn tool and I'm just going to burn around the edges here, just to give some more depth. Kind of burn around this brick. And I'm going to take the crop tool, crop kind of like you did. I don't mind that they're tilted here a little bit. I think it, you know, it's cute, it works. And they're looking a little pixely. So that's your edit. It's got a little bit more life, a little bit more pop. If I wanted to pop the colors a little bit, a good way to do that selectively is to take my sponge tool and set it to saturate at a fairly low opacity, and I could just take that then and go over the bricks to pop them, go over this nice color back here, and go over this grass a little bit. But see, I'm staying away from his feet so that we don't have that kind of yellowy greenness happening. Then I'm going to take my burn tool again. His legs are kind of bright. So that would be my edit. Your edit's a little bit brighter, and if you prefer that, that's fine. one thing about this image that kind of makes our edit a little flat and dull is kind of goes back to what I was talking about with your second image. I feel like you're kind of playing it safe with lighting conditions, and this wasn't the prettiest light that you could have found. It's safe light, it's fine light, but it's pretty flat light, meaning there's not a lot of variance between light and shadow. There's not a huge lights to darks range. It's pretty safe light. That's not it's nice to look at. It's safe, but it's not exciting. It doesn't do something to kind of ignite the soul. So that's a big thing that I would have changed for this image. You probably were working in limited circumstances, and that probably was hard for you to do. So with this family, I'm curious if you discussed about doing a home shoot with them, and you showed up and you were kind of like, okay, this is going to be tough. Or how are you scouting out your locations? Are you going ahead of time? You know, like maybe a couple days before, at the time of day you're planning on shooting, and really looking at the light and being picky about the light and saying, okay, we need to start our shoot at this time so that we get that glowy, beautiful light. That's me, you know, that's the light that I love. That might not be your favorite light. Let me know what it is. One thing that just jumped out at me of this image is that I love that the kids are barefoot. That is so cute. So I wanted to say that. Overall, good job. Big improvement from last week. Again, last image was a little more overexposed than I would have liked. And your light, I think you can afford to get get a little bit more experimental. I remember you had some nice glowy sun in last week's images, particularly of that couple going to a dance, but it was so overexposed that it was hard to get that perfectly. But that's what I want you to kind of work on this week, along with not overexposing, is think about the light in your images and how to make it interesting, and also how to set the inner Megan free. I saw a little bit of it in one. I saw all of you. I felt like in image number 2, and in image number 3, it felt like you were making lemonade out of lemons, kind of with the busy porch and 2 little kids and a baby. It must have been a challenging shoot, but you could have done more by having mom and dad interact back there, or the kids in front interacting, someone interacting with one another, because the fact that they're all looking makes you think, oh, they should all be in focus. Okay, Megan, I hope that is helpful for you this week. Let me know what questions you have. Don't be afraid to leave comments in the forum. I'm sure you're super busy. Overall, great job. Okay, I'm going to stop this recording, I think.